Me again, Mitchell Kern with Universal Tool and Engineering. Today we're going to answer a couple questions about what is a press brake. Well, a press brake is a machine used for bending sheet metal like this. So press brake is usually a narrow, long machine that's got a punch on the top and a die on the bottom. That's these two names for the tooling, the punch and the die. Now, the punch is normally tall and skinny so it can get into the metal and create tighter bends. Sometimes it'll form a box around it and stuff, so you got to have specialty tooling for that, different shapes and different sizes. The shape of this bottom here helps determine your radius on a lot of these parts. Now your bottom part, your die, is usually a V-block, because most of the time you're just bending 90-degree angles, 45-degree angles. You're laying the metal flat and you're putting the die down into it. How far you put it down into it will determine the angle of what it does and stuff. One thing about press brake machines is there's NC machines and there's CNC machines. NC stands for numerical control. CNC stands for computer numerical control. So if you're doing high production runs, you want a CNC machine because you can program the part in. It can help you go along. NC is usually a lot slower, a lot more complicated process. Kind of becoming older technology too. CNC is kind of becoming industry standard on a lot of these machines. So when you're talking about press brakes, there's typically three major types of press brakes. Something that's also becoming older technology, there was mechanical press brakes. That was a flywheel with a clutch kind of creating centrifugal force. Now, those are extremely simple, extremely cheap, easy to work on, but the tonnage isn't accurate, the angle of your bend is never accurate, and they're not near as safe. When you hear about workplace accidents back in the day, those were the type of machines they were working around. Very inconsistent, unreliable. Well, nowadays, we have hydraulic press brakes, which is what's behind me here. And a hydraulic press brake just means that it has a hydraulic bend. All the other back gauges and stuff are all servo driven, but there is also now servo press brakes, which means the action that lowers the press down itself is servo driven. That is extremely accurate, extremely powerful, but it is very expensive. So the hydraulic is more the way most people go. Hydraulic press brake is still extremely accurate. It can be CNC controlled, so that's the way most people end up going. Now, when you talk about these press brakes, people talk about different axes they have, axes. That's typically talking about the back gauge. And the back gauge, we'll go into a more in-depth video on that here in a little bit, but something that comes up with the axis whenever you see, 5+1 or, 5+ crowning, when it's talking about the axis. The crowning system is what's on the lower part here below your die. So think of it this way. This press has two different cylinders on each side forcing downward onto the sheet metal. So say you put a long piece in there that stretches across the entire thing. So say when you go to try to make a 90-degree bend and you're pinching those ends, you get a real tight bend on the end all the way through. But in the middle, you don't get such a good bend. So your end is bent very well, but your middle, due to spring back and stuff, it didn't hold the bend very well. So what compensation or crowning does, in the middle, it actually pushes upward. So it pushes the die against the punch to actually help get you a clean bend all the way through your material to give you good, consistent production and stuff. So that's the little video today about what is a press brake. Check out our YouTube page, check out our social media, and we'll put more videos out there all the time. Thanks. Have a good day.